seltzer.
Seltzer. All right. So let's start, I guess.
Welcome to Safe State, podcast where we like to pick a game, play the game, talk about that game. Sometimes it's a game you've played, sometimes it's not.
Scare you with the intro, right?
Welcome!
Just do it.
Just gotta force
No
out that
around.
weird energy first thing in the morning.
This is I think Mike has been awake for less than an hour, and I've been awake for
A little over, yeah.
probably almost 20 hours. So there's a very, very weird vibe going right now. But
This has just been a summer of weird energy.
yeah, this another weird. I'm finally over my cold, mostly, but cold.
Mm-hmm. But it's not over you.
No, cold vid. Cold.
Are you trying to say cold in your own name?
I'm trying to say cold and COVID at the same time.
I think
but
you
it's
can just
like
say
a
COVID.
portmanteau. Yeah, but I don't know. It feels like I feel like COVID's so heavy.
Well,
just, like,
also,
getting-
I think we've already said it enough that our episode's going to be flagged now in case we have misinformation.
do they still do that?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So, why are you so fresh and awake this early in the morning, Mike?
Well, because I'm a fairly early riser in general, mostly because I have extreme anxiety. So once I do wake up, I have trouble relaxing again to fall back to sleep because I'm worried I'm going to miss out on something or waste my day. So I try to force myself to bounce up quick, but no, we've got a family friend in town right now, and it has been trying here in the household. Very opposing views. I tend to believe that most people should be treated equally and with respect, and they believe everything that has ever been said about the QAnon conspiracy theory. So we're having some loggerheads, some clashes. But I'm surviving. Only 4 more days.
Hope you have beer.
Oh, too much. I'm going to have to detox after the end of this. Started with a beer festival, and I've just slowly kept that going. I'm enjoying this seltzer this morning. It's refreshing. My body needed it.
It's an alcohol-free seltzer.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, it is way too early for that. I am not that hard a drinker.
No, I could not do those alcoholic seltzers. They're just, ugh.
No, it would give me heartburn. Too much sugar.
Well, amongst other things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could just throw some gin and some seltzer, and it tastes better and is less cloyingly terrible.
I mean, now you're actually talking. Like Bloody Mary or like a really limey gin and tonic. I could kind of get down with in the morning, but it would have to be a day where I have nothing to do. And today I have to go to a Polish festival later and eat a bunch of like potatoes and sausage and drink vodka.
Oh, that sounds pretty good. Get some gumpkies, get some pierogi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Down for that.
Yep.
Haven't had.
Bulgaki? Isn't that another one? I believe.
Sure. Sounds like I know bulgogi is like Korean food, but
Yeah.
could be.
I probably
could be
got
another-
it right. I probably didn't say anything offensive.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
sausages.
No, so it's just been a weird morning, and this kind of led into a hiccup with our scheduling.
Yeah. So this is this will be an interesting episode to edit and to record. We're gonna have to we're going into the archives for this one due to some miscommunication over what game we were going to talk about this week.
Yeah.
The upshot being that neither of us played the same game, so we're gonna go back and talk about a game that we played a while back that we actually kind of maybe talked about doing an episode about, but we never got around to doing
Yeah.
it. And that's Strange Horticulture.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I want to tell you about my experiences over the last few hours. Namely that I started playing STARFIELD at about 3 a.m. this morning. Should have been 2 a.m., but the preload unpacking process on Steam is
It's trash.
buggy. Yeah, I mean, it actually went pretty fast once I found that I had to just delete my entire like cache in Steam,
Mm-hmm.
and then it worked just fine. But it took a lot of googling and stuff to find, and even then, the solution was only found by like a Reddit post from 5 years ago that told me to do this.
Nice.
So I tried a lot of other stuff before that. But yeah, so I've been playing Starfield for the past several hours. I hadn't actually intended to do this, to do I guess there'll be what we've been playing later.
Yeah.
After we talk about it, but I'll just talk about Starfield for a while here. I hadn't intended to actually do the wake up, play the game at midnight release, or in this case 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm not a young man anymore, but just by accident, I took a 5-hour nap in the middle of the day yesterday.
Nice.
Which I felt like my body telling me like, "Hey, you're gonna be up late tonight," and I was like, "Okay."
There you go. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know I was doing it, but that's what I ended up doing. Yeah, and aside from a nap earlier today, I have just been playing Starfield since then, and yeah, it's good.
It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. So far I haven't found like it's like it hasn't like done that click thing that you get from Skyrim or from wherever where you find like that thing. But I also haven't had any problems. It's been the least buggy Bethesda game I've ever played. Yeah, I've encountered literally zero bugs.
Whoa.
And like there's some AI weirdness, like with the enemy AI will sometimes get like, stuck behind a cover thing, and they'll and then you can just. But that's in every shooter game. I can't think of a shoot game, but you don't have that on occasion,
Mm-hmm.
where you just have like the AI running into a wall when you're in a big shootout or something like that. Even, Grand Theft Auto has that, and it sucks, but it's also like that's the extent of all of the bugs I've found. No crashes,
Mm-hmm.
no anything like that. Loading times are fine to good, really. Some frame rate dips in the big cities, but that's to be expected, really. My only problem with like the actual like the software of the game as opposed to like the gameplay and all that jazz is just that there's like all this filtering that's going on, and you can turn off the film grain, I could turn off the depth of field, and I've turned off the motion blur, but there's still like this like foggy filter that's on everything, which is kind of, I don't know. It's something. It's like I've been making a list of stuff I want to either mod out myself or to more likely download mods of the people have done, and that's like number one on my list is find some way of removing this weird filter on everything. But I mean, Fallout's had this too. It's not something that's like new to to this.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, it's fun so far, but it, like I said, it hasn't like it's fine. I don't.
Has it opened up, or like, I mean, how far in are you, and are you seeing where like it's truly really open, or are you finding yourself more on linear paths, or?
I mean, it's neither. Like, it's not quite as open as like a Fallout or Skyrim, because you don't just have one giant map to run around. You have to like go to different planets and stuff like that. And yeah, each one of those planets isn't like the size of a Skyrim map by any means. But at the same time, I'm also like, by the time I'm done with one of those areas, I just want to leave. Like, I don't feel any desire to kind of keep exploring most of these places. That's kind of one of the problems is that it tries to be very hard sci-fi, and hard sci-fi means that everything's just kind of a barren rock.
Right.
And barren rocks aren't really that fun to explore. So like most of the time I'm pretty ready to get back to civilization after I've been through a lot of these places. It's not that I'm like not having fun with it, but it's like I want to go back to like not just because I want to go back to where there's like green things and people, but also because like I want to use the resources I got to upgrade crap, or it adds into the gameplay loop in a way that like it's not just that I want to get back to my ship and get back because like repair stuff or whatever, but also because like I'm done here. Let's move on.
So is there a central hub?
Yeah, you have like a couple. So besides from your spaceship, there's like a big city, which is nice. Gives me like a lot of Mass Effect vibes. You know, just a big kind of futuristic city. The style of this game is like kind of retro futuristic. I mean, you've seen. I think early on they were calling it NASA punk. To me, I would just call it like 90s retrofuturism as opposed to like the 50s retrofuturism of Fallout. Like, everything's kind of utilitarian, and there's like a lot of buttons. Like this, and this is a universe in which the touchscreen hadn't been invented, so like everything's got like keypads and keyboards and like buttons you have to touch, which I like.
Sure.
It's like that. It's like that weird kind of sci-fi thing where like it's after the era where they thought that there'd still be newspapers in the future, which I call like that's the 80s, and in the 2000s they thought everything was going to be like a hollow touchpad. So this is like right in the middle, where like people have like iPads, but the iPads have like keyboards attached to them.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed watching, like, every sci-fi does it because you're, still limited more or less by the technology you have at that moment. And so much of that informs what it's going to look like. Like once computers came about, you've got, your Alien series where everything's still in green screen DOS, with floppy disks and cartridges and
CRTs built into things.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we should have just stopped right there with everything. I think we perfected it. We didn't need anything else. Aesthetically pleasing, the sound of every clunk when you do something. I miss it. But that's just me. I'm just weird like that. But okay, so this is that's interesting. They didn't procedurally generate these, right? These instances.
I mean, I don't think any of them are procedurally generated like as you play. I think they're. I mean, there's like literally 1,000 of them. They weren't all hand built. I imagine they had some procedural generation, like landscape software. But it's not like Mass Effect where you have like the stupid buggy that's rolling around on featureless stuff. Like it's not like that, but it's also not like No Man's Sky in that. It's got a few dashes of that, but it's also like I kind of like what little they've done of that, where you just kind of go to a planet, there's a few resources, then you bug off, because like I don't like to like have that much thing, because I feel I'm a very completionist kind of player of stuff, and if I know there's like an entire planet of resources or whatever, like I'm gonna it's a bit overwhelming. So this is nice in the sense that you just have chunks of stuff. Planets feel more like dungeons. I mean, even though like there's dungeons on the planets, so to speak. I mean, dungeons as in a place you go into and clear rooms of bad guys and then leave.
Yeah.
After you find the chest at the end. So it kind of feels more like they're like meta dungeons, Yeah. I mean, I still haven't like tooled around too much with like the ship editor or like even like the weapon mods and stuff like that. Like I'm still just kind of doing some of the quests and getting the hang of the combat. The combat's very fast, and if you're used to like, it's much more in like I feel like the vein of like more modern shooters as opposed to like the Fallout, which kind of had more of it was a slower thing. Everything took a lot of shots to kill. There was very little like emphasis on movement. You had the VATS thing going. This is much faster. You have like jump packs. Your bullets impact much more forcefully. You don't have like huge amounts of kickback on your gun, so you can like, aim down and like just empty ammunition into a bad guy. So it feels almost more, I won't say Call of Duty-y, but it's more of that family of game, as opposed to like the Fallout style of kind of shooting and where you have like big health bars and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would have, like, for a brief moment there, I was kind of picturing like, okay, you've got like your boom cannon, like your big shotgun, and you're on like a low gravity and you shoot it, and the kick from it just like sends you ever so slowly just leaving the planet into the atmosphere. So it's not quite like that then. It doesn't get that nitty gritty with stuff.
I mean, there's a lot of gravity stuff. Like the jump is huge, and it changes depending on the planet and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So,
Okay.
But like I haven't noticed anything with the recoil. Like most guns feel like they have almost no recoil.
Huh.
Um, which I guess kind of makes sense. I mean, it's 300 years in the future and you're in space. Why not have recoilless guns? I don't
Yeah.
know.
They finally
Um,
figured out pneumatics in a proper way, just to fire projectiles. Real easy. We're still using bullets, though. It sounds
you
like.
have different types. So you have like you have like ballistic weapons, which are like bullets, but you also have lasers, and they're good against different things. So if you have like an enemy that has like a lot of shields, you want to use your laser because lasers are more effective against shields, but like bullets are more effective against armor.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of like you want to switch between a lot of different weapons and a lot of firefights. I will say so far the game has not really encouraged you to play in a lot of different ways like a Fallout or a Skyrim does. It's very much like you play shooter. And there might be different guns you like, but it's still kind of like a shoot things, run, hide, shoot kind of a gameplay loop or combat loop. You don't have like there's a stealth system which isn't particularly well implemented so far I've encountered. And there are melee weapons, but like they're not really meaningful in any way other than maybe switching to them if you have like another like you run out of ammo basically.
Oh.
It's not like I mean there's probably a way to do a melee build, but it's not it doesn't feel like the game really wants you to do that, at least not as a beginner.
So the stat system for it then just there's not like a strength category, or did they
Well,
move away
so
from
like
that?
you have the way the skills work is that you have like you don't have like stats like special or whatever, like strength or whatever, but you have like different skills. So everything's based off skill, and like there is like a melee weapon skill, and then you level that up, and then you can like complete challenges, which are like things you have to do in order to get to the next level. So like for example, to like level up my healing, I had to use enough health packs to heal this much health, and then when I leveled up next, I could use that point into leveling up my healing. So like each skill only has 5 levels, but you can't just like if you level 5 dunk all 5 points into that because you have to complete like challenges they call them to get to the next level. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I like it so far. I'll see how I like it like on the once I've started like filling out the stuff I use a lot, and like I'm trying to like do stuff that I don't use a lot.
Mm.
The crafting system is also something I haven't messed with a lot, although it seems pretty elaborate. Not maybe quite as like there's less stuff you can use like in Fallout where like everything can be used for something.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like most things that you need for crafting like that isn't trash will like let you know that it's not trash. Like it says in the description like what it's for and that sort of thing. So you don't
That's
necessarily
nice.
feel like a Fallout. Yeah, exactly. So you're not like in Fallout where you're just grabbing everything and filling your backpack full of desk fans and radiators and crap. It's just the things that are immediately useful for modding your weapons.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Not that I didn't initially go into it like that and become over encumbered way too early because I was literally picking up everything because I didn't know what was useful or not. Like I was picking up everyone's weapons and armor because I was like, can I break this down? Do I need this? Is there a repair system like in the old Fallouts? Like what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And did it look like you can like break down other people's weapons and stuff, like NPCs stuff, or is it just
if there is a way, I haven't found it. I think it's just like if you want to take their weapons, there's a lot of modifications you can do. It's probably more involved than like the modification system in Fallout, although I would say it's fairly comparable.
Is crafting one of its own skills then, or is that not?
Yeah, so like each different skill, like there's cooking's a skill, doing with weapons is a skill, making meds and pharmaceuticals is a skill. So there's like, and those have the same skill trees as I was talking about with like the weapons and stuff like that. So it encourages you to like, if you want to level up your skill in making meds, you have to actually make meds too. You can't just dunk all your points in it. Like, in Skyrim, you could level up. You could go around hitting things with your axe all day, level up that way, and then dunk all your not dunk all of it, but like you could dunk points into alchemy as long as you had the skill level to do that. So this it's similar, but I don't know. Like I said, it'll take me some time before I decide that I like it or not. The actual menus are okay. They're not great, but I think Elder Scrolls games have always had a problem with like menus. I don't know why.
Yeah. Sky UI is like one of the first mods I would usually get for Skyrim, just to have the new menu system.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just don't know why they're always kind of jank. Like one thing in Fallout's favor is that it's in-universe jank. So like it's based on like your Pip-Boy.
Yep.
So like it's like, oh, that's why this is kind of jank. But I don't know why. The menus are kind of.
Yeah, that was always a weird feeling for me for Skyrim, because I remember reading like PC Gamer magazine on my work break and stuff, like pulling out a copy and reading as it was getting ready to come out, and they were like, this is it. We figured out the menu system. I remember they were really pushing it hard of like, everything's in game right then. It's not going to take you out of it. And it still does. It still freezes up the whole thing. Like I saw it and I was like, this is what you guys were proud of? Like, this is the same thing. You just removed the border on the screen when you entered the menu.
Yeah. I mean, that's also that's the other thing that like one of the annoyances I had with this game early on is the way like you move in space. So like, you enter your spaceship, you press the takeoff button, it's a loading screen to get to space. Fine. I don't necessarily need to have like a full immersive takeoff sequence and whatever. But in order to get to other places in space, you have to go into the menu and go into the map, and it basically makes you fast travel places in space. So like you don't. And it just, like, I can see why you do that, because otherwise you're spending a lot of time with just the character sitting there. But at the same time, I kind of, like, I wouldn't mind it if it was something like say, like, I wanted to go to, a Planet X or whatever, and I'm, like, I set my course for Planet X, and then I can get up from my seat and, like, go do all the crafting and sort through my equipment or whatever, and then, like, I click a button to, like, fast, to jump forward in time to arriving there or something like that. It's very unimmersive the way it works, as it just feels like you're using the fast travel system from the other games. Right. It feels like space is more just for the combat as opposed to a means of transportation. The space combat's fine. It took me a minute to get used to. It's not like amazing. Like it's not as good as that Star Wars Squadrons game I played last year or whatever.
So good.
Yeah, but it's also not bad either. Like it's good, fine. I like it. I'll get used to it, and I will, But it's it feels very floaty. Like it lacks like a lot of the kind of the feeling of movement. But at the same time, like I guess that's kind of realistic. I don't know. You exist like in black gravity. You're not actually dogfighting.
Yeah,
you're floating around in space, and there's like negligible gravity and all that sort of thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for keeping the amount of gravity in space realistic, by the way. None of this, there is no gravity bullshit that people push. Fucking lies.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, they could have done something then. That's a little disappointing. Like, I could see, to your point, I like the idea of implement the wait system that has been in these games that Bethesda's been making forever. And has really only ever served to, like, literally just wait for the right time to talk to an NPC or do some interaction, an event, or to like do a small like temporary heal in some of the games. And it would have been nice if like, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop style, there was like some hyper lanes, right, in an area, especially in like the more populated places. And you choose the hyperlane you need to get into, and now you've got this big color streak effect going through, and like you can do stuff in your cabin. Or you can wait until, like, you arrive. Like, just as one of the wait options would be wait until arrival. I think you're right. Yeah. That would have I haven't played it yet, but that sounds like it would be more immersive.
Yeah, I mean, like, something that makes the ship feel... As it is, it so far, the ship doesn't feel like my home base. It just kind of feels like a thing I'm tooling around in. But I also haven't customized it at all. I'm basically using the stock model, so...
Gotcha.
I'll have to give it some more time.
Does
after
it?
That.
I mean, I know you just said you haven't really messed with the customization on it, but does it look like it's going to be able to be customized like pretty thoroughly down to like little details on it?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know to like the interior stuff, like everything's kind of module based.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it like less customizable than like it. Well, it almost felt a bit like when I was looking at the menus, like the gummy ship system from Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Like where you're just kind of like moving like modules or blocks, and they do different things and stuff like that. I don't know how much that's gonna like be like beyond that. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be like the Hearthfires thing with Skyrim, where you can like customize the interiors or anything like that. So that's still something I've yet to explore. But it's so far that's fine. I haven't really gotten any crew members either. Like those are the two things that I think are going to be where I'm going to end up liking a lot. It's like the outpost building system, and then like your ship customization and like crew management stuff, which is generally the kind of stuff I latch onto in these sorts of things. So I am withholding a lot of my opinions until I get to that, because I suspect like how much I click with that is going to do a lot to motivate me in the other aspects of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I feel like if like I need to start building up metals or whatever to do this, or put this thing on my ship, or put this thing on my outpost or whatever, I'm going to feel much more motivated to go into kind of like these grayer, drearier planets and mine crap. I wouldn't mind some more variety in the planetscapes, at least like they're like the hub cities, because there's a main one, there's some other ones, but like they feel pretty well developed and they're pretty nice to look at. You got trees, and it's not like gray like metal. Like I think it's probably more comfortable looking than like a Citadel, because like it feels more city like. Certainly the biggest cities they've ever done in a Bethesda game. Like there are tons and tons of NPCs all over the place. And they don't just walk into each other and say random things and talk about mud crabs or anything like that. They kind of move like population traffic does. And I wouldn't mind some changes in walking speed. Like a lot of games, you walk way too slow and run way too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's always one of the first things I do with these games. Is I find some way to mod the walking speed, because you walk slower than the slowest NPC, but run faster than everyone else. So like trying to walk around a city is a very weird feeling, because you're just kind of like trudging along, or you're jogging like you have to get to a fire.
I never understand that in games. It's always irked me. I've never gotten anyone to give me a sufficient answer as to why, like especially when it really gets at me is when it's an escort quest. Because if you're going to have that kind of thing in your game, let me walk at the exact same speed as the MP. Either make them match me or me match them. But one of those two things needs to happen, because talk about an immersion breaking thing. It's just like, well, I got to step forward 3 times and then just stop and wait for a little while.
Yeah. Well, it's even, and then it's like you have like quests where like there's a few of them early on in this game where they're just like, we're showing you around. Like this is your room and this is whatever. And this is how this works. And like, if you walk, you're walking way behind them, but if you jog, you're running up into them, hitting them, like running in, like literally into the back of them, and then waiting for them to move forward. And it's like I don't understand. Like everyone wants to make these games immersive, and they have all this like stuff, and it's like, what's immersive about this? Like I'm running around like a video game character, or I'm trudging. Like I think like there are some games that like let you walk well. Mm-hmm. Like I think Hitman is one of my favorites, where it's like you walk at a normal speed.
Yep.
And you can even, if Witcher, if played on a controller, you can like just walk through the town, and that's really nice. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, video game people just like never want to make the walk speed comfortable. Like it's always shit. So I mean that, like, I would complain about that as like a problem with Starfield, but it's actually a problem with like games in general. So like I don't really know how to.
Yeah, it's not like I'm demanding that like I want every NPC to have their own unique gait. Like, based on their weight and leg length, I want, like, it's like, no, that's not what I'm at. It would be amazing if we ever got to that point, that's just like a common, oh yeah, this like walking engine that we slap onto a game that just does that math for us. I could see someone doing that eventually.
That wouldn't be that hard,
It wouldn't be. Oh man, now I'm getting mad about why that hasn't been done yet. But
I mean, there was a mod for Skyrim that did that, where you had like 8-9 different walking animations that would cycle through. I mean, it was mostly based on like lady animations, so they were all just various levels of hip waggling.
It always is. And they're like, yeah. Well, you do need for this, like, even though everyone's clothed in this one, you do need the nude patch as well. It's like, well, okay, fine. But
if only we could find some way to chat, like to harness the horniness of modders and just,
never, absolutely never. But I guess that's why I always have enjoyed these games, though, is that they're so open to the modding community. I don't know. I'm assuming it's still too early for a like their whole engine package that they let modders tweak around on.
Oh yeah, that.
But that'll be amazing when that comes out too.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take a while if they do it that way they've done before, where they have like the creation kit thing.
That's what they call it.
Fallout, it took a few years, but people find a way to mess with it before then, and then when it does happen, and I'm not too worried about it.
I am worried about when that happens, and I no longer get to spend any time with you because inevitably Sim Settlements will come to this game, and then you'll be gone forever.
Yeah. I mean,
that random gray rock that you hated. Nope, that's your new colony.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good.
Someone's gonna do it.
Hopefully, also, like, I think that's one thing I have a lot of hope for Starfield. I'm hoping that it's the stability that I'm finding in Starfield is based on some like deep engine changes that or also make modding more stable as well. Like I don't know anything about it. I do like, but like the bane of a lot of modding in Fallout and Skyrim mostly comes down to like engine limitations to like memory allocation and that sort of thing. Where you can like bolt on as many scripts as you like, so long as you don't use more than like 270 megs of, or it's like megs, 270 megs of RAM, stuff like that. Hopefully that isn't the case, but we'll find out.
Lord, well, so how many hours have you logged in now onto this thing? Just a few, or?
Probably 4 or 5. Okay. I would say 5. Yeah.
So it's still early days in the game.
Yeah. I mean, especially with this game, like that's the other thing is like one of the first mods I'm going to seek out when that becomes a thing is the skipping all the intro quests, because
damn,
like it's long.
Really?
Yeah, like before you can like get your ship and then go do what you want to do, you have to do a lot.
Like you got to get off the boat at Satanin and get registered, and then you've got to break out of prison. And
like,
did they finally move away from the prisoner trope for a game?
No, yes.
Good.
Yes, you are just you start off as like a miner, like a person who mines.
Okay.
I would say that like, if I were to compare it to the intro to any other game, it'd be fairly similar to Fallout, where like you have to like you do all the intro cinematics, you go in the bomb shelter, blah blah blah, come back out, and then you have to go and rescue everyone from Concord with those sequence with the power armor or whatever, and you come back, and it's like that in length but less scripted. So you're waiting on less NPCs and all that stuff, which is better, but there's just more of it. You have to do this space combat sequence, and you have to go clear out this pirate den before you can get to like the point where you go to, because like it opens up when you get back to the main like city hub and you talk to this person, and they put a lot of stuff in the way of that. And I think like I wouldn't mind a mod that just starts you right there after you've talked to the person, like because I know I'm going to be making more characters, and I don't know that I'm going to bother with wanting to do all that intro sequence. That's always kind of the problem with the Bethesda games is that they are sandboxes, and they want you to play them like sandboxes and all that jazz, but at the same time they, for whatever reason, require this long cinematic intro with like it's very linear. Maybe it's to make you value the sandbox more. It's like, finally, free of all that, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the first mods I would always grab in one of those games was the Live Another Life mod, where I've always enjoyed those anyways, because it really helps you kind of do the roleplay aspect of like, no, I'm a necromancer's assistant or something. They're fun. So I'm sure that'll be one of the mods that this will do too then, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but also, like, this game does give you different starting options for your background and stuff like that. So, like, you can pick, like, what you did, like, your profession, that dictates what skills you kind of start with. The thing I like about it, for like, there's also, like, the trait system, which is a lot like the ones you get in Fallout New Vegas, where you can, like, pick things that would have, like, a benefit or a drawback, like, you know, so one trait will let you, like, you know, you heal faster, but, like, you get less health from potions and that sort of thing. There's a bunch of those, and it feels like that'd be something that'd be easy to mod in a lot of new ones too. But the one I took was like, you have a family you have a mom and dad are still alive, and they live in like the hub city, and like every week 2% of your income goes to them or whatever, but like you can go to them and like you can say hi and talk to your parents, they talk back to you, and they're actually like NPCs with like a lot of dialogue and stuff like that. They're not like, you know, just token things. Like it's a trade I took so I have a family I could talk to.
I'll be curious to see if that is if they're going to do it much like you do in like a tabletop game where it's like, tell me all of the things you have so I can take them away from you bit by bit as a gut punch.
Yeah, I don't know, because it'd be hard to script that, because like it's very optional. So like I don't know at what point like you'd have that. Like that'd be a lot of work for something that is like so optional. Because there's like literally 20 or 30 of these traits you can pick from.
Interesting.
You can also pick to like different religions you were raised in, which will give you like points for when you meet people of those religions, and different factions you grew up in too. Same. I didn't pick any of those because I kind of wanted to like initially kind of go into stuff like kind of, you know, unadulterated, but I did like that idea of like having like a family you could go back and talk to, and it was actually kind of cool. Despite the fact I've only played this game for a few hours, it did kind of feel like, you know, oh hey, going back to see mom and dad, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, I think that's all my observations for Starfield.
I mean, that's a pretty good amount.
Yeah.
It's really making me have to like be like, no, just wait for Game Pass. Just wait for it to come out on Game Pass. It's gonna be out in just a few more days.
That's the other thing, though. If you play this on Game Pass, you're not gonna mod anything on that.
I know. I mean, I'll eventually have to get it for Steam, but in the meantime,
yeah,
I'll demo it on Game Pass before I commit.
That's fair. But yeah, okay. So this episode's actually not about Starfield. We're talking about strange horticulture.
We are. I kind of forgot. Yes.
Which is a kind of a chill narrative puzzle game, I guess, is what you'd call this.
Yep. It's a lot in the vein of like a Papers, Please.
Yeah, mixed with like a dash of Cultist Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have like, there's like a story that goes on. You have, well, of course, there's a story. Huh.
Weird.
But basically, you are a botanist in you've taken over an old botanist and horticulturalist, someone who sells plants.
Yep, you nailed it.
And so throughout this game, you are going to get new plants, and you're going to get new description of plants, and you're going to want to like use the description of the plants to identify the plants that you have, as well as go out and explore and find new plants via clicking on the map. And then there's also like some story beats that'll come in as people visit and they want to request plants of you, and then you give them plants. I think that's it.
I mean,
that's all Strange Horticulture is. We're done.
There's a little bit more to it, but you hit the beats pretty well there. Yeah, so one of the fun things about it is the identification process of plants. It starts very simple. You only have a few different options. Most of them are all positive plants in the beginning, but you do start to see more and more negative traits and dangerous traits in the plants that you're collecting that can be used for, instead of relieving an itch, possibly causing a horrific rash to break out on someone. Or a form of poison to be ingested. There's this, much like any of these games, there's a faction that attempts to recruit you. I believe, it's been a while since I played, but I believe they were called like Moonwell or Moon something.
The Moon Society.
We'll call them the Moon Society for now, yes. But what I enjoy about the exploration of this versus like a mind scanners, where it felt pretty empty. You had these areas to explore, but it was really just to go talk to these people, where in this, like Arvid said, you're exploring these areas often to not just go interact with people in their location, but to go find new plants and kind of unravel some of the mysteries going on in this area and find out people's motivations. And I like that because if you're really listening to the dialogue and reading the journals and, really paying attention to what's going on, you can find things a lot earlier than maybe you would. There's little areas that aren't marked on the map, but if you've been paying attention, well, if I hover over and click on this spot, I can get there and do something. And it's got, the same date and time system, so there is a little bit of that crunch mechanic where you got to prioritize what you want to do within that time period. But for the most part, it's just, it gets into this really fun puzzle rhythm of the matching of plants for making your poultices and, concoctions for people. Although, well, you're not making them yourself, but yes.
Yeah, no. And then also like this game like does a lot of work with the atmosphere. And you have like this, the music's very fitting for the game. It's very chill. There's like, if it's a rainy day, you'll have like this light rain sound on a roof, which is very relaxing.
There's a chill cat.
There's a cat you can pet. Like, when you're ready to have, like, when you want the next person to come into the shop, you ring this little bell. It's got this very like very chill, relaxed, cozy vibe to the whole thing. And just like, even though it is like that, it's not like twee about it like that. It doesn't. It feels like they put a lot of thought into this. Where, like Cultist Simulator, it can feel really cozy, but like if you delve into like a lot of what's going around, it can be kind of spooky, kind of scary. Just it's well written. It feels like a setting that is fairly unique to it. Like it doesn't feel like they're just like, this isn't just like fantasy setting number 5 or kind of Lovecraftian setting number 4, although it has elements of both of those kind of things. You can kind of, it feels like a greater, you feel like you're part of a greater setting as opposed to like the setting being like built around your game. You brought up Mind Scanners, and it feels like the whole of Mind Scanners is built around like your occupation and who you are and your role in the setting. And this, it feels like you're just another person in this world. And that's also like helped by the fact that like a lot of the plot progression is done by other people. Like you can subtly affect how things are going depending on how you help them, but by and large, like, you are basically like the NPC in a story, and everyone else is out doing stuff, and you're just like the one who sells the potions.
Yeah, I mean, you really are kind of like, as much as you could make the player of the video game the passive observer, you kind of are. Like, you can make mistakes, and that's going to negatively affect your outcome on things. But it's going to affect the other people's outcomes way more than it ever will you yourself. They're the ones experiencing the story. You're just kind of watching it all happen. It was done really well. I know I don't want to shit on Mind Scanners, but it's one of those, like, they are so kind of related into this whole genre. And man, when you play something like Strange Horticulture, you really see the flaws in the other games when they don't get it right.
Yeah, and also, like, I think, like, we talk about Mind Skinners a lot, we talk about Sable a lot, because both those games were games that, like, we saw a lot of potential in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's one of those things where I feel like I'm talking about them as much as, like, because I wanted them to do better, and I could see where they could have, like, what the different choices they could have made to make them games I would like a lot more, as opposed to games that I didn't like, and they're just, there's no saving them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Well, someone clearly saw Mind Scanners and said, well, I can take another crack at this, because just letting you know, skipping ahead a little bit, HYPNOSPACE OUTLAW? Whew. Whew.
Well, that predates Mind Scanners.
Did it really? Did it come out first?
Yeah.
Oh, then Mind Scanners has absolutely no excuse. All right, I'm back to, whatever. All right.
Did you play HYPNOSPACE Outlaw?
I've been playing it a little bit this week, yes.
Okay, because it's on the list.
Yeah, I know. I just got a little too itchy fingered on it. I kept seeing trailers for it on YouTube, and I was like, I just gotta play a little bit of this game.
Okay, well then we'll have to play that for the pod at some point.
We'll play it soon for the pod. Yeah.
I've been holding off on that. I've been saving myself for the podcast. I guess you haven't.
I have not. I've been a dirty little tart, just running around the different game launchers, playing anything I can get my hands on.
But yeah, so I like Strange Horticulture. The other thing is, it's also like it's not as complicated as a Cultist Simulator or as the other game we'll talk about in the near future, Book of Hours.
Yeah.
It's much simpler. It's shorter. It's less open-ended. There is an end that's fairly definitive, and it's something you can play, like, I think, like 10 hours maybe at max. Probably shorter than that. Mm-hmm. I would say probably even closer to 6. But it's a good chill time. It's just like a nice. I was playing it like before bed. Like when I started playing it, I was realizing, oh, this is a really relaxing, chill thing. Like, this is going to be like kind of my like wind down game, and it really it does leave you with that kind of vibe. Like, this is a very vibe heavy game, but it does it well as opposed to other games. Yeah,
I didn't think about it for that, but that is like the perfect kind of wind down game if you don't want to like be overly stimulated through like sound or color. It's not that everything's muted, it's just that it's relaxing. That little plinking on the roof that you were talking about, or there is a lot of color because you need that to help identify things, but it's just, I don't know, it's almost like some pastels, and there's a little bit of calmness to everything. There's a coziness and a calmness that I really enjoy.
Yeah, and even though there's like a day mechanic where you have to do certain things within a day, like, it's never stressful. Like, there's no actual time ticking down. You could sit there and stare. It's like based on actions you do, whether or not time passes, and then you can always get more action points by just watering the plants, which doesn't take any time. So it's a nice like little like chill thing to do. It's like, oh, I kind of wanted to go explore that place today. Well, I'll water the plants for a bit. That's nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't ask too much of you.
No, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that's a game like I would like to see more of. Like, it felt like it could, like, I'm not saying it needed to be longer, but like I wouldn't mind a sequel.
Sure,
that'd be pretty sweet.
The more of these types of games they can make, the better. I've really been enjoying what this kind of emerging genre has been doing over the last few years.
Yeah. I think they've also like moved away from being quite so dire. Like, I think of like this genre kind of being born with like the Fallen London series. And like those were always much more like roguelike and had a lot of ways you could screw up, and like there was a lot of tension from that, and I feel like the move away from that has helped a lot and like make me embrace it more.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's Strange Horticulture.
Yeah, it is.
What else did you play this week, Mike?
Well,
besides Strange Horticulture,
played a little bit of.
Oh wait, hold on a second.
Oh,
sorry. Reverse. We cut all that. Do you have any news for us this week?
I got no news.
Okay.
Do you have any news?
I have a little bit of news, and then I actually have some news that leads into a quiz. If that's,
shit! Look at you. Okay. Someone was actually prepared and did their homework. That's great.
Someone was bored while they were waiting for Starfield to unpack.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
First thing, there was a Starfield music video that came out, like I think yesterday.
Okay.
With, like Imagine Dragons doing an original song for it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, it's not terrible because like Imagine Dragons is too prosaic and boring to be terrible, but it's terrible in like the sense that it lacks any creativity or interest or, meaningful emotion. I would recommend you don't seek it out because it's not even like good enough to be ironically good. It's just it's the gray couch of music.
I do see this little blurb headline from PC Gamer that Bethesda commissioned an official Starfield song from Imagine Dragons, and if you guess that it rhymes high with sky, you are correct. Which, all right, yep, like good on them. Clearly, they've got an Onion writer moonlighting for them there, but that's good.
Well, they had to go somewhere after all that crap happened. No, like I don't get Imagine Dragons. Like, I mean, I get it in the sense that it's very corporate friendly, bland rock that looks good on like sports highlight reel videos. But like, why people seek them out to listen to them, I don't get.
No,
it's so beige, and not even like in a fun way that like beige is comfortable. It's like it's still trying to have some kind of like rock edge to it, and they all have like that kind of screechy, yelly voice, so it's not even like a comfortable beige. It's like a beige with a weird smell where you're like, did something happen to this?
This couldn't have been this tone the entire time. Something occurred that caused it to beige. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that was terrible. But the other piece of news I have is not good news. The Embracer Group, the company that has been going around for the last few years buying everything from Lord of the Rings proprietary rights to Dark Horse Comics to every independent video game studio that isn't owned by someone else. Last year, or I think it was last year, the deal, or maybe it was earlier this year, fell through where they were supposed to get a big influx of cash from what probably was like the Saudi investment fund or whatever. And so consequently they're having to shut down a lot of the stuff they've bought out because that's what shitty companies do.
Yep.
And they're shutting down Volition, a studio that's been around for 30 years. A studio that brought us, Saints Row and Red Faction and the Descent games way back in the day. They're just gone. Like that's it. So
damn,
I know
it's a real scary like time we're living in, because this is like the question that no one has the answer to of like, well, what happens to the licenses on all of these things? Often you'll see like when a game studio shutters, it's like, well, we were working on this next project and everyone was really excited about it. It's like, well, that's just gone now forever. It's like in a weird limbo prison for so fucking long.
I mean, that's kind of how Embracer started out. Is they were like this was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. They Birdie, shut up.
He's also upset.
Yeah, they started out buying like IP from THQ after THQ shut down. In fact, they were THQ. They bought the name THQ and called themselves THQ, like some kind of like evil skinwalker.
They single white femaled THQ?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I'm sure they'll keep the rights to Saints Row and license that off to some other studio when they want to they want to try and bring that back. And, if anyone ever wants to do Red Faction again, I'm sure that'll be a thing. They also own like the rights to Tomb Raider now and a lot of other things, which is what leads me into this quiz. It's a relatively short one, but where are they now? And or rather, who owns them? And I'm going to give you a list of some studios that are pretty well known for their own stuff, and you can tell me where you think they're at right now.
Okay.
So, Insomniac Games, they of the Spyro series and a lot of other stuff.
Yep.
Been around for 20, 25 years.
Heard great things about the Spyro series. Still have yet to get it into my hands and enjoy it myself. Yeah. But I will one day.
They've made some other new stuff. I think did they make the Spider-Man game? Is that them? Or was that Naughty Dog?
No, I think it was Insomniac.
Yeah, so they made the new Spider-Man game.
Very good, and the second one there was very enjoyable with Miles Morales. Mm-hmm. That kind of 1.5. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that a lot. Actually, more than the base game.
I still have yet to play the Miles Morales one, but I look forward to that.
Well, then I'm going to say they're still kicking strong. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah, but who owns them?
Who owns them now? Well, let's see. I'm going to guess Microsoft.
Well, considering they put all their stuff off as PlayStation
that's true.
Lately,
they did do. It's probably Sony.
Not.
Probably Sony.
Yeah.
You're right. I completely forgot about the it was strictly PlayStation exclusive for a while there. I just was a patient person and picked him up on PC.
Yeah. No. So they were bought by Sony in 2019.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Eidos, of the Tomb Raider and Soul Reaver and all those games. Who owns them now?
Eidos. For some reason, I want to say that was all Blizzard Activision. Didn't they kind of get absorbed into Activision at one point?
Well, they were owned by Square Enix until Square Enix sold them off.
Okay.
And they are now owned by the Embracer Group, the people of whom I started talking about initially.
Lovely.
So they own all of Eidos' IPs, which are... And this also includes DSX, by the way, as well. So...
all damn, those are
Tomb Raider,
real good
Legacy
games.
Of Kain, DSX, yeah. They don't own Hitman, which was part of Eidos for a while, but IO Interactive, the studio under them, that they bought themselves out. So IO Interactive is actually independent as far as I'm aware right now, and they still own the rights to Hitman. So
that's good. They've been doing good things with it.
Someone escaped the slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Relic Entertainment, those of all of the good RTSs back in the day. They made the Dawn of War games we played. They made Homeworld.
Okay. Vaguely familiar with that. Interesting. Are they just a defunct... is there even a remnant of them left?
No, they still exist.
They still exist. Okay, well, then they're going to have been absorbed into something bigger. Huh. Of that game, that seems more like they were doing some European and American stuff then. So it's not going to be your Sony. It probably Microsoft then.
Actually, Sega bought them in 2013.
Okay.
I know, right? I think it was the same time they bought Creative Assembly, the people who made Total War. So it was a weird, wild hair Sega was on for a while there.
Man. They're just not willing to be done. Good for them.
Yeah.
They've had a hell of a ride.
I mean, I think the Yakuza games are keeping them alive now.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3D Realms, makers of Duke Nukem and all that jazz.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that there was officially a studio for Duke Nukem. I just thought it was a curse that got placed on you that you had to make one.
Well, it's not wrong.
I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I would go to Microsoft for that then, on the purchase.
They're actually owned by Embracer Group.
Oh, no. I feel like I am getting a theme on some of these. Okay. All right.
Okay. Next studio, Crystal Dynamics, the studio that brought us Gex and some of the other games since then. I think they worked on some of the Soul Reaver games as well.
I'm gonna guess Nintendo has acquired them.
They're owned by the Embracer Group.
God,
they were bought.
Damn Embracers! All right. Okay. Oh no.
Okay, next one. Sucker Punch Studios.
Why do I know the name Sucker Punch Studios?
So they made the Sly Cooper games, as well as something else that's much more pertinent, which I am
never played Sly Cooper.
They're good Those are good.
I've seen the ads in magazines back in the day.
They made the Infamous series, but they're probably most known right now for making Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, that's the one that like really stood out then. Gosh, that one did so well. I'm gonna say Sony.
Yeah, absolutely. Hence Ghost of Tsushima being PlayStation exclusive to this day, I believe.
I think so. I was trying to remember, like, because for a while I had my computer, my Nintendo, and my PS4 all hooked up to the same monitor TV system, so it all kind of blends together for those.
Yeah, no, that's how I do it. But I also have a wee little room. Bungie, the makers of Halo. Who owns them?
It's going to be Microsoft. Microsoft owns Bungie. Right?
That'd be where you're wrong.
What?
They're actually owned by Sony.
What? No. Okay, so was it the 737 studio or whatever the fuck they call 313 or whatever sequence of numbers?
That's owned by Microsoft.
Okay.
So yeah. Microsoft retained the rights to Halo, and Bungie spun off to be independent, and then last year was bought by Sony. So
fantastic.
That was a bit of a curveball for you.
Fantastic. Okay. This is going good, and it's not making me worried for the future of gaming at all.
And the last one, Cyan Worlds, now just known as, or maybe just known as Cyan, makers of all the Myst games.
Oh.
They've made like 9 of them at this point.
I'm going to say Embracer because I honestly have no clue.
They're independent. They're still independent. They haven't been bought by anyone.
Fuck you.
They made all that money back in the day on Myst that they just, I think they had like a 2-person squad back then. They're probably still doing okay on the royalties.
Right.
So
I've just seen so many of those like real Myst like reboots on mobile devices and stuff that I was like, oh, clearly someone bought up everything.
So that's the hellscape that is the world of like games now.
Well, I clearly need to get more involved in the behind the scenes, corporate intrigue shit in the video game industry. It's just always so depressing.
Oh no, it's very depressing. Like I only looked this stuff up because I read about Volition shutting down, and I was like, I mean, this isn't even including like all the studios EA's killed. Like I could have done like an entire quiz of like, it wouldn't be much of a quiz. It's just me listing off studios that EA's killed. But
we'll save that for the end of year episode where we pay tribute to those we lost
in memoriam. Yeah. Oh God.
Oh man.
All right. So what have you been playing this week, Mike?
Well, putzed a little around on some Armored Core 6 some more. I haven't had enough time to really get into the nitty gritty of it yet, but still having a lot of fun with it. It's an Armored Core game. Like, if you've played one, I'm not going to say you've played them all, but like it is very comfortable when you get into it. There was a briefest of window where I felt a little foreign on the controllers, and then everything was great from there. So
awesome.
I've been enjoying that for what little I have been able to play. And then finally just got so curious, like I was saying before, about HYPNOSPACE OUTLAW. And I was like, all right, let's just try it out. Let's just do like the first, like an hour of it or something. And I did. And I was not expecting to have flashbacks to my first day of orientation at the Hardys, where they took me upstairs and put on like one tape into the old TV like rack combo set. And we're like, all right, start with this one, and then all of these other ones down here in this order. And then when you're done, sign out and you can head home for the day. Like, this is just an orientation day. And also, you can smoke in here. So I'm just up there chain smoking cigarettes and watching really, really old from like the late 80s orientation videos from Hardee's. It was magical. And this brought me right back to it.
Yeah, there's that's a big reason why I haven't actually gotten around to playing this game, is because I feel like I'm going to have a lot to say about it. So I've been I think I might even put it on the big boy playlist instead of the regular one, which might be why you didn't see it. But
I believe it is on our big boy playlist, and it deserves to stay on there.
No, I think that's fine. I think we can do we haven't done a big boy episode.
No.
In a while, so maybe we can do that. Yeah. When we say big boy episode, that just means a game that we have to do a lot of thinking about and like actually try hard to talk about. Like I think previous games have been Paradise Killer was one of our big boy episodes.
Yep.
And I think that might be all. We've been kind of intimidated by some of those games.
Yeah, we want to give them the respect we think they deserve, like the critical, conversation.
Yeah, I want to open my word hoard when I talk about those games.
Mm-hmm.
Just to quote Beowulf.
Yes. What have you been playing this week? Outside of Starfield, obviously, for the last few hours.
I've been playing Starfield. No, I play actually the game. One of the games we're going to play next, maybe, or the game we'll be talking about next is Book of Hours. Mm-hmm. I've been playing a lot of that. It's great. It's a little. I won't talk too much about it because we're going to talk about it, but it's like a cultist simulator, but the sequel. And I don't mean sequel as in it follows the events afterwards, but the sequel as in more, better, bigger, stronger, like a sequel should be.
The spiritual successor.
Yeah. It feels like the Empire Strikes Back to the cultist simulators, New Hope.
Careful. That's a big claim.
I know. I don't. It's not a claim I make lightly.
All right.
So that's been a lot of it I've been doing this week. Fighting mosquitoes has been a big part of my week as well, but that's not a video game. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah, I've had to this week stop shaving my head, as you can possibly see here, because I've got so many mosquito bites directly on my scalp. Yeah, it looks like one of those old Looney Tunes cartoons where they hit me over the head with a hammer and just these big pillars rise up that I could push down, but they're not going back down. Some of these bites are like several days old and they're just as big as they were before. It's rough.
It's a thought that terrifies me about losing my hair. What inevitably happens is that I'm going to have to be one of those hat guys because, like, I just have the lumpiest fucking head on earth.
Yeah.
Like, I look like... You remember the old Valve logo where they just had, like, that, like, a guy's head? Yes. And they had that, like... It's like... That's what my head... And that's what I looked like when I was 14 with my head shaved, you know? I haven't obviously shaved my head since then.
Well, maybe the top of your skull has filled in more since then.
Yeah. So
yeah, that is one of those like scary things about going bald where it's like, well, this is just life now. And anytime I try to wear any kind of head cover, even just for comfort or fashion, everyone assumes it's out of deep shame to hide my naked head.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Well, you have to know. You have to be shamed for this very normal thing that happens to like everyone.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I do deserve it. It should be publicly mocked through the streets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's all I got this week.
All right.
I talked a lot today.
Yeah, you did.
It was a very monologue. I talked a lot by myself to you.
Yes, that happened. I am so sorry I got the games mixed up. But
no, it's
good news. Super prepared for the game after next.
Good, yeah, I'll make sure I'm prepared for that one too.
I already have the artwork ready for it too. That's how prepared.
That's really prepared, man.
Which means I will probably still be late on the artwork for this coming one.
Well, I wouldn't expect it.
Oh, man. Oh, I am so ready for this weird energy summer to be over. It's
been a weird summer.
It has been so weird. Oh, well.
Indeed. All right. Well, thanks for listening to our weird energy. If you like this, you could leave us a good review on your podcast listening device, or give us a like on YouTube if that's where you're listening to it. Subscribe
Yeah.
even. I know we've talked about doing more stuff on there, but I think hopefully after this next couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot more time to do stuff.
I have picked up another game. I got to finish editing the Outlast stuff still and get it up there. I think I said it last time, but it looks like it's going to be like 6 episodes total for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I picked up a new game, which the name of is...
Surprise.
It is a surprise. Something about sandcastles. It's Daymare. I picked up the new Daymare. So that'll be getting played on the channel here. Hopefully Tuesday, probably next Tuesday, but the day after you hear this episode, that should be up on YouTube.
So are you going to alternate between Outlast and Daymare then?
No, I'm just going to have them be 2 separate things that people can... I'll drop all the rest of the Outlast now that it's done.
All at one time?
Maybe over a couple days. But yeah, I'm going to try to get it all dumped out there pretty quick.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching that.
Yeah. No one's ever played Outlast and put it on YouTube before, so that'll be interesting.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I've never seen anyone.
No.
I've never watched anyone play Outlast, I'll have to admit.
No, I'm a trailblazer in this regard.
Also, you can talk to us on our email address.
Yeah.
At our email address, thesavestatepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Or most social medias.
Yep.
In which case we are at the Save State Pod.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Do you want to just, I think what we do is...
Wing it.
No, what we do is this is ostensibly an episode about strange horticulture. We have a really big, chunky talk about not strange horticulture before and after.
Mm-hmm.
So that we only actually spend 10 minutes talking about strange horticulture.
Okay.
Does that sound
Which is
good, because I've been up since 2 a.m. My time playing STARFIELD, so we'll have...
Okay, so you actually have a lot to talk about. Okay, so you really buried the lead there, that this is going to be an episode more about your experience playing STARFIELD, and then another game that we both have played will be talked about briefly.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.